pain. It is a horrible and unpleasant sensation that we, unfortunately, as humans, experience from time to time. It is an important neural signal that reminds us that something is unsafe and that we are being harmed because of it, and that our bodies need some extra care. People do not like being in pain, and our unpleasant experiences with it have led many to develop a sense of care and concern for others who may be going through pain as well, including other beings who we share this planet with, like animals. As proof of our compassion and benevolence to other creatures, we have created numerous organizations that focus solely on the humane treatment of animals who can also experience pain. Our desire to diminish or completely end the unnecessary suffering of animals has led some to adopt more greener and more vegetarian lifestyles. And while this is certainly noble, it does beg a big question. What about plants? Are plants capable of feeling pain in a manner similar to a human or an animal? That is the question that forms the basis of today's documentary. Let's take, for example, the scent of freshly cut grass. For some, this is a pleasant scent, but what if this scent was the plant's way of screaming for help? Researchers have found that the smell that we associate with freshly cut grass is actually a chemical distress call that is emitted from the plant, a chemical means of communication that are linked to the plant's survival, from poisoning a predator to alerting nearby plants of nearby danger to even enlisting insects such as bees who help pollinate the plant, thus ensuing the continuation of the species. These are all responses to the plant being damaged. German scientists have developed a way to pick up on sounds that go unnoticed by the human ear. Using laser driven microphones, scientists at the Applied Institute of Physics at the University of Bonn have discovered that flowers seemingly appear to whimper when cut and that cucumbers squeal when they get sick. An ever growing body of researchers suggests that, at the very least, plants do instinctively respond when being harmed in some way, shape, or form. When a leaf or stem is cut, the plant cries out by releasing the gas ethylene over its entire surface. When specially calibrated lasers are pointed at these ethylene molecules, they begin to vibrate, emitting a sound. The more damage that occurs, the more ethylene gets released, which makes the sound louder. If plants are capable of perceiving a sense of their own environment and are capable of changing their morphology or their form, their physiology, their functions, and their phenotype, their observable characteristics, then does this mean on some level that plants can indeed feel? All organisms will instinctively do everything that they can to survive, but does a tree growing more girthy and less taller in a windier environment to avoid being pulled out of the ground necessarily mean that it will experience a sensation of pain when its leaves or branches are cut? Some researchers and botanists argue that pain is a sensation that is strictly linked with a brain. With no pain, with no brain, pain cannot be registered, perceived, or understood. But despite not having a brain or a means to exhibit consciousness, plants do seem to exhibit some form of intelligence. At the very least, plants can feel. When a plant's leaves are under attack by insects, they emit electric signals from leaf to leaf, sending out a message that it is under attack and must defend itself. This process is very similar to how information moves along a nervous system. but plants are able to do this without possessing a nervous system. So, what does this mean? It means that nervous systems are but one way to process information. Another thing that must be considered is that damage does not necessarily equate to pain. We humans experience pain because our bodies possess pain receptors. These are called nociceptors, but these are programmed to respond to pain, not to touch. Some people have a genetic malfunction where they feel pressure but do not feel pain, but they do not possess pain receptors. Ultimately, there is just not enough evidence to say that plants can feel pain. Plants are not conscious like we are, nor do they possess a sense of self awareness like we do. When we cut a leaf, we assume that this causes the plant to suffer. But this has less to do with the plant and more to do with anthropomorphism, our need to give human characteristics to non human things. We have a tendency to think that other entities have the ability to experience things as we do, which can easily lead to false assumptions. Although plants do feel, they don't possess a personality or the conscious ability to recognize the damage that is done to them as suffering. Another thing that should be noted is that plants do not possess pain receptors. They do possess pressure receptors that allow them to know when they are being moved or touched. This is a specific cell known as a mechanoreceptor. So you can definitely kill a plant, but it does not really care. A plant can be aware that it is being attacked, but cannot do anything to stop it. So now what? Well, it is clear that plants are able to respond to certain stimuli. We have not fully addressed whether or not plants can actually experience pain. We do know that plants do not possess a complex brain or nervous system, but evidence points to them possessing a complex connection of mechanisms that, at the very least, can lead to a pseudo emotion that we could one day classify as pain in the same manner as we feel it. But exactly how we would identify this remains a mystery. And if plants were indeed capable of experiencing pain, what does that mean for us? Would vegetarians end up eating nothing to avoid causing pain to other beings and die of starvation? Would we evolve our diets, or would we continue as we always do? Or would we adapt to these new challenges as we always do as well?